Hey y'all, I'm Madison, and if you've already been to my website, you know that I want to be a wildlife conservationist when I graduate. Wildlife conservation may sound like the elephants in Africa, but there are wild animals all around the world that need our help. To help do your part, there are actions that you can take in your everyday life. Step 1 is going to be, of course, take care of your own trash. A huge problem that wildlife faces is dealing with people's trash that they just leave anywhere they feel like. Beaches are often littered by careless visitors, and this is not the only way that wildlife can suffer from littering, but it's still a huge problem because people really don't care about what's going on in their own backyard, and it's very disrespectful to not just the animals but also the world. Something that I've seen all around me is that people will often dump their trash on the side of the road. And this can be horrible for animals that live anywhere near where the trash is thrown, because in many cases they'll find something that has a remnant of food and they'll find any way to stick their head in there and try to get that food out, when really there's nothing in there. So a very huge step is that you put your trash in the proper place that it goes. Don't leave your trash on the side of the road or even on the beach, because it can harm lots of precious animals that we don't have many of. Leaving trash anywhere can cause it to end up not only on the side of the road or stuck onto an animal's face or body, but it can also end up in the ocean, where it's fair game for any animal around the world to find. Several houses are guilty of this, but I've seen a lot of times where people will take the bags they get from the grocery store and just stuff them all into one of them until you have one giant bag full of several of the other bags. And well, you should definitely take these bags to a local recycling place and try to recycle and reuse them anytime that you can. Because if not, they can end up in the ocean. And once in the ocean, these plastic bags end up looking just like jellyfish to animals that eat jellyfish. And for a sea turtle or another creature, they can't tell the difference. So they end up eating these plastic bags, and in most cases it will kill them. A huge step that you need to take is to try your best to recycle anything that you possibly can. A huge reason for this is because things like straws end up in the ocean and end up, like you can see here, in animals' noses and bodies, and it just really hurts them, and it's a bad thing. It's very bad for the environment. You should try to, anytime you can, use a reusable cup, especially when going to any kind of fast food restaurant these days, because they all use the styrofoam cups, which can also be very detrimental to an animal's health. The styrofoam that you pick apart at the bottom, eventually the whole cup will end up like the pieces on the bottom that pick apart. So then you have thousands of pieces of styrofoam floating around, which is very easy for an animal to breathe in, which of course is not good for their health at all. I live in a lakeside community, and something that I see very often are animals that are tangled in fishing line that people just leave out on the banks or even in the middle of the water. And it's very important that you do your part and clean up these fishing lines, because the fishing lines that even get stuck in the ocean often tangle up around aquatic animals, like the dolphins that get stuck in the nets, but that can also happen anywhere for any type of animal. And even if they're not aquatic and it's on the banks, a turtle can get tangled within the string and it can deform their shells if it's stuck there for long enough. Another thing that can deform and kill an animal when it gets stuck on them are the little rings that go around 6 packs of sodas. One thing that you can do to help conserve wildlife everywhere is to cut these rings before you throw them away, or even better, recycle them. But if you cut the rings up, then an animal is much less likely to get stuck in them. And getting stuck in them can choke the animal, and like with the turtles again, it can make their shell grow around it and severely deform them, which will eventually kill the animal. There are many things that you can do for wildlife that you may not think would make a huge impact, but they really do. You don't have to go out and be a wildlife conservationist and run around a foreign country trying to protect animals that are widely known for being in need of protection. You can do things domestically in your everyday life and help to save animals. So take some simple little steps like these and help save the world.